Three, two, one, on.
Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम सलाम. अब तो
How are you
दो
doing,
उँगलियों
bro?
से भी नहीं होगा. यूं करना पड़ेगा.
10 और एक
Number
पुराने
11.
जमाने का.
Yes.
Indeed. How are things in Canada?
Canada seems to be beating the odds right now, so alhamdulillah, can't complain.
No, that's great. Likewise in Pakistan, although there is some major discourse around the rapid growth of Karachi infections. So,
Yeah, you only see what you measure, right? You don't measure, you don't see. I think that's the strategy in
yeah.
Canada as well as in Pakistan. It seems to work, by the way, because I'm serious. Because as we go along, there are one of two paths, right? One is mass immunization when the vaccine gets ready. The other is that there might be immune people who will get certificates like free passes, and those people will become like the economic engines until we have a vaccine.
Yeah.
So if you're one of those people who didn't get tested at this point in time because you didn't show symptoms and you went through COVID, and there are many people in the world who are going through COVID without symptoms,
Mm.
um, if you're one of those, you're going to be an economic commodity worth quite a bit, depending on which field you work,
Mm.
because you're
Interesting.
immune. Yes. So this is one of two paths. Either the vaccine becomes available, or the immune people become really important. My guess is that both Pakistan and Canada are working on the assumption that if you don't test it, you don't see it. Only the serious cases get tested, so your numbers stay low, and the rest of the people are just going through it.
Yeah, yeah. No need to freak out.
No need to freak out. No need to freak out everybody in the process.
Yeah, well, the
So
thing is, I mean,
seems
in the
sensible, right?
US, they have 580,000 cases and 25,000 deaths now.
Yes.
So that number is at 5% of the total, which seems to indicate a different level of infection than in Pakistan, because in Pakistan with 6,000 cases or whatever it is, 4 or 5,000 cases, we have a few hundred deaths.
Yeah, I think
So,
there's a question about misattribution as well, right? So in
of
the
course,
West, all deaths are being attributed to COVID-19, and that's also not correct because you're not doing a post death analysis of the person. You're not sticking a swab up their nose when they're dead. So, and in Pakistan, it might be the other way around, that people are not being attributed enough to COVID-19.
it's just
So
being put down as double pneumonia or whatever, and
yeah,
uh,
yeah, and a lot of people just die at home, right? So they're dead. So it is what it is. So in both cases, I think there is a misattribution problem. And having said that, therefore, all the data is skewed around the world, and we're honestly just batting in the dark. Everyone in the world is batting in the dark.
mm,
You got a big stick in your hand, and you think you're hitting something, but it's all dark, and you might be hitting people close to you. You don't know. You're just swinging the bat
yeah, no,
because the
it's a good
data.
analogy.
Yeah, the data is just not accurate. Because if it was accurate, then what about all those negative people who are now testing positive again in the Far East?
Mm.
So there's either something wrong with the testing, or there's something wrong with the data, or there's something wrong with what we're measuring. Are we not measuring the right thing? I'm not a scientist. I don't know, but the data doesn't seem to tell me the story.
Or this virus is different than anything we've seen before.
Yeah, true. And obviously viruses mutate, right? So it's mutating
Yeah,
as well. It
yeah,
is what it is, so best of luck to all the countries. And every public health system is struggling everywhere in the world. It's not like no one's struggling. But what I find interesting is that the country to study is Sweden, that they went the other way. They didn't close down the schools, they didn't close down the bars, they have everything open. And for me, that's one of the most interesting studies. And what I find, the variable which is different in Sweden and rest of the world, is most people live alone in Sweden. So the chances of super spreading are low, because population concentrations are not present like they are in New York, where people have to go out and stand in line for food on almost a daily basis, right? So people's habits in a very compact big city like Hong Kong, New York, London, Karachi for that matter, require that people leave the home many times a day. It's just the way that the houses are set up and the way that small dwellings are set up. You can't store large amounts of food. You may not have a kitchen in the house. And this is irrespective of demographics. I mean, rich people also live the same life as poor people in New York in terms of being in close, cramped quarters and living, multiple in a house. So all of these places with very uh, very strong population densities are going to struggle with controlling the virus, irrespective of age, income, race, because in the U.S. This turned out to be a race issue in the virus as well.
Yeah, yeah. And
Also,
ironically, they thought it was the other way around initially.
yes, they did, and they made a big deal about it, and it turned out to be, it is what it is. So basically, everyone's batting in the dark. I come back to that. You can't play baseball or cricket in the dark. It just doesn't work. You can swing the bat, you don't know what you're hitting, and you may end up hurting yourself.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on.
So in
Anyways, enough
this in
about that.
this in this environment, what are things that companies can do and should do to protect themselves, protect their employees? Because there are some companies that can, I mean, they can't let their operations team work from home because the machinery that they're running is physically, in one place. They can't move the machinery to their house. So, what should those companies do in terms of protecting themselves, their employees, and yet making product available to the markets that need it right now?
So first thing is very clear communication, because there are going to be cases, right? So as
Mm.
soon as one person has been diagnosed, there needs to be immediate uh, there needs to be immediate communication from the company, and if that means shutting down a certain department for a while and disinfecting it and then getting everyone tested, the
Mm.
company has to do that. It's just one
Mm.
of those things. I'll give you an example. There's a very big desi store over here called Iqbal Foods. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, it probably does like 60% of all they see food from South Asia in Toronto, and they have two outlets. So they had an outbreak in the meat section. One of the meat guys got it, and they did not inform anyone. They didn't even inform the city, apparently. And when it became public, they were forced to shut down by the city, and it was 2 weeks later when they put out a statement, right? That's just bakwas. That will not do. So there will be people who are infected. The communication needs to be clear.
Those guys need to be held criminally responsible for this nonsense.
Yeah, so the city will take care of that, I'm sure. There are
Yeah.
legal processes in Canada which will take care of that. But what I'm
Mm.
saying is, from the company perspective, you can't wait for shit to happen. You have to have a plan in place for the shit is going to happen. There are going to be people who will be infected in the population of the company, especially in large companies and with industrial workforces and labor colonies and things like that.
Mm.
You have to be ready to isolate. You have to be ready to share the information at the right point with the relevant authorities, and you have to follow the guidelines, whatever they may be.
So one very interesting innovation that I've seen is disinfection tunnels. So this is for like those companies with very large labor forces, and we
Yeah.
have hundreds of them in Karachi and Lahore, which are the two main industrial areas, but also in Faisalabad, Multan. A disinfection tunnel, just like it sounds, is a tunnel through which a person stops and turns, and they get sprayed with disinfectant. The amazing thing is these tunnels are available now on plug and play for literally 100,000 rupees plus
Right.
transportation. And so they require zero maintenance. It's a simple pump that is attached to six nozzles that all you have to do is to just keep refilling the disinfectant in the tank attached to the thing. So
Yeah.
it's a zero IQ level product, and it's available for 1 lakh rupees, which is like $600. Why? I don't see any reason that any factory, any um, manufacturing company that has this kind of labor force should not be passing their entire labor force through the tunnel every day, on the way in, on the way out.
Yeah, you're right. But having said that, the science on this is still, like I said, it's in the dark. So it may work, it may not work. It may be more optics than real, because the virus apparently lives very low time on clothes and
No,
flesh.
no, no. It lives for up to 3 to 6 hours on
Yeah, yeah.
clothing.
That I agree with you. That's 3 to 6 hours, right? But
So
on hard surfaces,
in the morning, if you're bringing it in from home, at least kill it on the clothing of the people
yeah,
walking in, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because a lot of so there are colonies in Karachi, for example, Muzaffar colony, where there's a something like 40% infection rate right now.
Mm.
And so they've actually put the army to try and, but Muzaffar colony, that whole area, it's a completely porous,
It's porous, yeah,
so there's no way, there's no hard boundaries to it that you can actually close off and quarantine the area.
yeah.
So, those people are daily wagers. They need to get out and work, and they're getting out and working, and that's the problem, right? So, so today, for example, we had a small delivery at the house. I went downstairs, met the guys. I had disinfectant hand disinfectant in my hands. I got them to clean their hands. I got them to wear a face mask. I got them to come up, and then I disinfected the entire room where they'd come up to drop the stuff off. And then we did a Lysol spray in the air on the staircase. I mean, it's you do what you can to kill the germs where they are, right? So it's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, no, I think taking whatever steps you can is fine. It's fine. I'm not too sure about the disinfectant tunnels, to be honest. I haven't
Hmm.
seen the science, but it seems like it's a good first step. But
I think
what's
it has more logic than chloroquine. What is it called? The
hydrochlorothiazide? Yeah, yeah.
the malaria
Mm-hmm.
medication. So I mean, I think it seems more logical than that anyway. So it is what it is.
Yep, yeah. I would
Uh,
I would spend some money on hand washing and as people
yeah,
enter the premises, disinfect their hands, especially.
and feet.
Yeah, maybe their feet as well. Okay, so there's that. Also, maybe companies can look into actually 3D printing the visors, because you see the main problem is that it spreads from the particulate matter that comes out when we're speaking, right? So if
Yeah.
we can restrict the cloud from exiting beyond a certain radius, I think we're cutting down on that as well. So there's something to be looked at in terms of face shields or visors as well, I think.
Well, 3D printing in Pakistan is not really legal, right? So there are very limited 3D printers available,
It's
and they
it's
are.
I have
It's
a rant. I have a separate rant on that
I
because
believe me, I'm on the same page exactly on this topic. It's the
yeah,
stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's like doing color photocopies of your national ID card. You can't do it because, like, are you seriously, you're kidding me right now, no? Anyway, so the other thing that companies I think must do face masks. They have to ensure face masks on all their
mhm,
employees. If there are people working with where they're physically touching product and machine, they need to be wearing gloves. They need to be wearing at least latex gloves
yeah,
of some sort that are easily disposable. They need to be so physically distanced somehow so that if you've got 40 people on an assembly line, take a bit of a hit. Make sure you have 12 people on the assembly line, but make sure that they're 6 feet apart, 2 meters apart. I mean, these are basic things. Make people aware. Oh my God! One thing I saw in that video that you shared earlier, they I won't mention the company because I thought they were making a good effort, but they had bar soaps on the counter, and
mhm.
there was just one person using the bar soap, putting it down, next person using the bar. I'm like, dude, you're completely missing the point of the bar soap. It needs to be,
Yeah.
ideally an automatic pump, so you don't even have to touch the damn hand pump. But still, I thought it was a good effort.
It
Other than
was a
that,
good effort, yeah.
education is very, very important. People need to educate their employees. When you go home, if you've traveled in public transport, if you've touched surfaces, don't go home and embrace your children until you've taken a shower, until you've had a chance to wash up. Go home and wash up, wash your hands, wash your face, do the due diligence before you go and greet your family. Um, I think education in our country. Today there was a news article about a person who was COVID positive, went out and infected 39 people,
Yeah,
including his entire family. So, just because he doesn't know, either
yeah,
doesn't know or doesn't care. It's really
yeah.
depressing.
It is, and it's the same throughout the world. There are two points of views on how people are reacting. One is I don't give a damn, and
Hmm.
the other is that I do give a damn, and I will take whatever precautions I can, to try and stay safe and keep my family and the people around me safe. So
Yeah.
it's binary, and it's not just limited to Pakistan, to be honest.
No, I saw the
So
case in Canada where that idiot
exactly
cyclist was fined, what, $880?
880. Yeah,
Because,
that's the
and when he
fine
was
rate.
finally arrested, he said, "I don't believe in these COVID deaths. It's all a hoax."
Exactly. Exactly. So it's the same throughout the world. We do have two different the way people are reacting
Yeah.
is completely binary. But I think that you know it's only a matter of time before I think we have to open up the economies around the world,
Mm,
more so in the third world, because people have to eat.
yes.
They have to get out there and try to make some kind of a living. Otherwise, you're just going to break down the whole system, and then you're going to have tremendous impacts which go well beyond what we can imagine. Uh, so,
Well,
so I
on
think,
that note, I mean, Dr. Fauci might be joining the ranks of the unemployed because of his accidental or deliberate statement about, if we'd done something earlier, we might have saved a few thousand lives.
yeah, the
Uh,
thing is that in times like these, you need to let the medical professionals run the show. And what I personally believe is that by shaking the confidence of Dr. Zafar Mirza and his team in Pakistan, we're not doing any favors to the national effort.
uh,
Without taking names of various institutions that have taken it on themselves to know more about public health than the experts do. I think in Canada the best thing that's happened is the public health agency has an independent voice,
and
and
they've
they
stepped
speak.
forward and they've been allowed to speak.
Exactly,
It's
exactly.
not,
Oh,
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor, but I think that hydrochloroquine is the best thing since sliced eggs, sliced
no,
bread. Did I say
yeah,
sliced eggs?
you said sliced eggs,
I
but
did,
it's
right?
but it's okay.
That's how mad this guy gets me, man.
Yeah, I know, I
I'm
know.
not a doctor.
But it's the same throughout. I mean, Boris had a different opinion, then Boris got COVID, right? So
Yeah, that was karma just going
yeah,
on your
exactly.
on your bike, mate. On your bike. Yeah, he did change his tune a lot. Anyway, all right, bro. I know you got to get to work, and I got to go out and take some pictures of flowers.
Yeah,
So
your photography is coming out very, very, very nice.
I'm so loving it, man. The streets are clean. The flowers are beautiful. Even the sky around Karachi is cleared up. It's like a different place.
Yeah, the sky's cleared up all around the world, and this is, if this doesn't make us pause to reflect on the mess we've created in this earth, then I don't know what will.
This is the time where you quantify the impact of human activity on the environment. This is it. It's a visible impact. And anyone
Absolutely.
who cares to argue that is just another Trump. I mean, sorry, an idiot.
All right. On that note.
Talk to you later, bro. Have a good one.